Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's absolutely crucial for anyone with an app out there, App Store Optimization, or as you probably know it, ASO. Look, if you've ever built an app, you know the hard part isn't just building it. It's getting anyone to actually find it. And here's why that's so tough. Every single day, more than 1,000 new apps hit the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just think about that for a second. That's 1,000 new competitors every day, all fighting for the same screen space. It's a massive, crowded ocean of apps, and if you don't have a plan, you're not just a drop in it, you're gonna sink without a trace. Right? So you've spent months, maybe even years, pouring your heart and soul into this brilliant app. It's useful, it's beautiful, it might even be a game changer. You finally hit that publish button, and then nothing. Just crickets. In a marketplace this jam-packed, even the best app in the world can be completely invisible. So how on earth do you get found? Well, the answer is App Store Optimization. The easiest way to think about it is like SEO, but for the app stores. It's the engine that drives what we call organic discovery. ASO is literally the process of making your app more visible to the algorithms and, just as important, more appealing to actual people, so they're persuaded to hit that download button. It's how you go from being totally lost to being front and center. Now, ASO really breaks down into two big goals, and you have to nail both of them. First up is visibility. This is all about speaking the App Store's language, using the right keywords so the algorithm shows your app to the right people. But then you've got the second goal, conversion. Once a person actually finds your app, you've got to convince them it's worth their time. This is where the art comes in, your visuals, your pitch. It's a two-part challenge. First, get seen by the machine, then get chosen by the human. So let's start with part one, the science of ASO, your keywords and your text. Because before you can even think about persuading a person to download your app, you have to convince a cold, hard algorithm to show it to them in the first place. This is where you learn to speak its language. And here's one of the biggest secrets, and it's so simple. The store algorithms read from left to right, and they give the most power, the most weight, to the very first words they see. What does that mean for you? It means your single most important keyword has to be at the very, very beginning of your app's name. It's such a basic move, but you'd be shocked how many people get this wrong. And this right here is exactly why you can't just copy and paste your app listing from one store to the other. It will absolutely fail. Apple and Google are playing two completely different games. On Apple, you get a special keyword field, and repeating words is just a waste of precious character space. But on Google Play, it's the total opposite. Google scans almost all of your text, so you have to repeat your important keywords to show the algorithm that you're relevant. Okay, so how do you actually do this? It's a pretty straightforward four-step loop. You start with research. You brainstorm, you spy on your competitors, you look for gaps in the market. Then you prioritize. You're looking for that sweet spot, keywords that are super relevant to your app but don't have a ton of competition. Step 3, you implement them, putting them in the right places for each store. And finally, the step everyone forgets. You measure. You track your rankings, see what worked, and then in about a month, you start the whole cycle over again. Now, let's get into a few pro tips that'll give you a serious leg up. First, whatever you do, don't split up multi-word keywords. The algorithm sees them as way less relevant. Second, remember that order matters. Ranking for app analytics is a different ballgame than ranking for analytics app. And here's a golden nugget. A real opportunity is when you find a keyword where the top-ranking apps don't even have that exact phrase in their title. And for you iOS folks, use every single one of those 100 characters in the keyword field. Don't leave free real estate on the table. Okay, so you've cracked the code on the algorithm. Great. Now comes the hard part. You have to win over the human. This is the art of ASO. This is about using your visuals to grab someone's attention and, actually convince them to download. I want you to just let this number sink in for a minute. Only 2% of users, 2, will ever read that long app description you spent so much time writing. And that single statistic tells you everything you need to know. Your primary sales pitch is not words, it's pictures. So if nobody is reading the text, what are they looking at? They're looking at this. Your screenshots are your digital storefront. They are not just a gallery of what your app looks like. They have to be a compelling visual story that instantly communicates what your app does and why someone needs it. Because for 98% of people, this is the only thing they'll ever see. And you guessed it, the stores handle this differently too. On Apple's App Store, your video is just the first thing in your screenshot gallery. But on Google Play, the promo video gets this prime real estate above the screenshots, right next to a big feature graphic. That little difference in layout totally changes how a user is going to see and interact with your page. This means your video strategy has to be completely different for each. On Apple, the videos autoplay with the sound off, so you have to design for silence. Use big, clear text overlays to explain what's happening. But on Google Play, a user has to physically tap to play it, which means your feature graphic has to be so good, so compelling, that it makes them want to click. All right, let's talk about the final, crucial pillar of ASO, your reputation. What other people say about your app, your ratings and reviews, is one of the most powerful signals you have. It sends a message to both the store algorithms and to potential new users. It's all about building trust and social proof. You want to get your app featured on the front page by Apple's editors? Well, take a look at this chart. Your star rating isn't just a vanity metric, it's a literal gatekeeper. The data is clear. A staggering 92% of the apps that get featured have 4 stars or higher. If you're sitting at 3.5, your chances are practically zero. So how do you know if you're any good at getting ratings? There's a really handy metric for this called downloads per rating, or DPR. It just tells you how many downloads it takes you to earn a single new rating. The lower that number is, the better you're doing. And it's a fantastic way to benchmark yourself against your competitors. And really, these two things, your ratings and how often you update, they work together perfectly. High ratings build trust with people, making them more likely to download. At the same time, frequent updates send what's called a freshness signal to the algorithm, telling it your app is alive and well-maintained. You really need both to climb the ranks. And all of this brings us to what's probably the most important shift in mindset you need for ASO. This isn't about some quick fix or a one-time setup. It's about playing the long game in a battlefield that is constantly changing. This might be the single most important thing to get about ASO. The algorithm never, ever looks at your app in a vacuum. It's always looking at you and your competitors side by side. For any given search term, it's constantly comparing your visuals, your ratings, your keywords, your update schedule against everyone else. Your ASO is only ever as good as it is relative to your competition. What that means is that success demands constant iteration. So, a practical testing cycle looks something like this. In month 1, you launch and you measure one set of keywords. The next month, you test a totally different set, and a third set in the month after that. Then, at the end of the quarter, you look at all the data, you figure out what worked best, you combine those winning elements, and you start the whole process all over again. When it all comes down to it, ASO is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The market is always changing, your competitors are getting smarter, and the store algorithms are always being tweaked. Winning isn't a one-time thing. It's a commitment. It's an ongoing cycle of research, testing, and iterating just to stay ahead. And that really leaves us with one final thought. You can bet that your biggest competitors are not just sitting around. They are optimizing their keywords, they are A/B testing new screenshots, and they are working to improve their ratings every single month. The only real question left is, what's your next move? Thanks for watching.